Yeah. I ain't fucking with no odd niggas. My brother fucking with the Mimi. I can't rock with him. Don't hit my phone about this either, cause I pop niggas. Banging gang, but he on politic. He is not with us.
What's a better time than March right now? At Ramble HQ. I mean, where else would you rather be?
This is not liquor.
Where else would you rather be in March?
Fuck them up. I told y'all keep my name.
Ramble HQ. Let's bring the fucking vibes today, eh? Your boy is back. I'm healthy as an ox now. They try to keep me down, but I'm up.
Don't make me come and purchase townhomes, bitch. We 5K.
I'm up. Ibuprofen, vitamin C, water, green juice. I'm back.
Found out I was a killer. Should have seen her look in mama's eyes. Hey, but I'm a train stepper. Swap the 17 for G30. And she way wetter. Keep your bitch on top of all these hoes and she gon' pay better. My hoe call me fucking on the square. I think I fucked up. Bitch pay better than my knife. She getting bumped up. A BBL back there. She got a butt. Ooh wee. I feel like Young Slubby. Just throw it out his gun on him. No matter if the boys ain't near, they gon' come for me. If you could put the bag in hand, I got a butt for you. Free max when you come home, I got a slut for you. Ain't real ism, little nigga ain't even touch Oregon.
This is our
opportunity. Finna have the bitch pick it up. Ain't got a body, you ain't gang it till you get you one. Been in and out for 4 years, I'm trying to live it up. And I'm gonna get a girlfriend before I kick the cup. Look, bitch, Dada pick me up, I got some hoes online. Male show,
appreciate the
plus
stuff,
I'm
man.
on mine.
Appreciate
The
you,
black
bro.
can make you see your deli if you smoke it right. Roll the black, roll the
Appreciate all the
yeah, we
stuff,
smoking
brother. You guys
flies.
are
Hey,
crazy.
mind you, I just left the P.
Song,
I ain't seen a thing.
Apocalypse,
Went in a
by
hood
EBK
bitch
J-Bo.
wrong, she pulled a Billie Jean. I thought I wrote a different sucker, but it still
Boys,
was
by the
Blaze.
way, I made a music playlist. It's in my bio.
Phone niggas, stay prepared. Stop
Still adding to
apocalypse.
it, but there's an
Pop the bitch, can't get a pass.
Still got
so
with
we
the sub.
politic. He
You
dropped
the
his
man,
clip
boy.
on Calandry. Think I spot the bitch. You hopping in or hopping out? You acting like a bitch.
Still got
Pop the
different
nigga, then I
energy,
blocked
man.
him cause he might tell. A nigga speak on little sleeves, we doing 5 drills. Don't throw the down, you never got a fly killed. Separate me from the fake cause I'ma die real.
It's March.
2-1.
I mean, how high are the
Jazz.
vibes right now? I mean, it's high for me. Can't lie to anybody. Hope everyone's doing good. Happy Wednesday. This is the calm before the storm, gentlemen. This is where we can lab. This is where the anxiety might be the highest for some of y'all. But man, this is fun times. It's gonna be a little bit short staffed today. I'm feeling a lot better than I was yesterday. I'm sorry for the low energy. But we're gonna run through some shit. We got Rolo and Royal as well as Jack Benjamin coming on. What's up, Rolo? Nice to see you up here, brother. How are you?
What's going on? How we feeling?
How you feeling? Keep talking a little bit. I'm just gonna make your mic a little lower. Keep talking.
Yo, what up, chat?
All right, there we go. It's a little bit better.
Rolo.
Wolo, yeah, dude, you're a hot commodity in this community. But yeah, I hope everyone's excited. I hope everyone's energy is high. The vibes are high for me. I mean, March Madness is one of those things where it comes around and it's gone in a 2-week span. I mean, it's a beautiful time, but it's short-lived at the same time. So I'm excited. I got a trim song request, so I gotta live by that. I gotta rip that. Let's drop some energy in chat. Rolo, get the people hyped for this stream. We got Jack Benjamin coming on, which is gonna be awesome. I cannot wait for that. Chat, drop something in chat. Maybe your favorite upset. No hockey.
I feel the betrayal. I'm ready to lay on. I'm ready to spray on. Fuck on your hoe. I'm pushing the spit. Got to start the dough. I got one of those. My bitch be cold. She feeling my feelings. I put on the pretty. She rockin' with Giddy. She fucking with me. She rockin' with Kelly. I put on the titty. I'm good on the fitty. My cash is getting. I get it geeking and
You've been showing the Grim Reaper in a while, bro.
I couldn't fit it and still went got it. Just look at it, we got it.
That's moving.
Walking with diamonds, I gotta be
There it
honest.
is.
Walking with
There
diamonds,
it
I
is.
gotta be honest. I'm keeping 1,000, it's over 100. I got this shit banking, I turned it back up. I've been on that demon time, ready to roll. So find out that Chinese, put on your nose. Don't need no
I love when
stylist,
chat's
I'm
getting
full of the
aggressive.
ball. I bought a
I
new
love
mansion
it.
just for the clothes.
Yeah,
Break
this
up a
is
phone
time
with
that
then
we
to explain.
gonna-
Come hard accessories ain't nothing to explain. Call when you
There we
ready, ain't nothing to explain.
That's
All
awesome.
these bitches up, it ain't nothing to explain. Keeping me down, you won't never get claimed.
All right, I think Rolo's, or not Rolo, dude. I always do this when Royal and Rolo are streaming with me, bro. Back to the same old shit. I think he's having technical issues, so he'll jump up whenever he can. Jack is going to join at 8 p.m. He's just finishing up a call. But bro, Rolo, do you know anything about this guy? Did you look at any of the posts?
No, who's Jack? I mean, I heard that he's like some type of broadcaster, but
Bro,
I don't know homie at all.
bro, you're a Tulane fan somewhat, right?
Yeah.
You know that buzzer beater they just had?
Yeah.
Bro, he was the one he called it.
Oh,
he called
wow.
it. Yeah, let me bring it up. Let me bring it up real quick. Let me bring my text up with him. But he called the Tulane buzzer beater. I'm sure some of you have seen it.
Holy shit. So much better.
You're good?
Oh my god, yeah. Dude,
Total Slayer was 5.
It was so bad. Oh, W.
Appreciate you, Slayer. Let's go, man.
Hell yeah.
A little bit of technical difficulties can't hold us down.
Dude, I couldn't hear a word you were saying.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. A little bit of Martians never hurt anybody. Builds character. Let me bring up just his call. I didn't realize it was him with the Tulane shit. But here, look at this shit. Jack, Benjamin.
Thank you, Slayer.
Yeah, make sure you guys follow him too. Slayer, you're the man. Hype train going here. That's beautiful.
What's up, Token?
Here it is. This is his voice.
2 and 1, once for the win. Yes, sir.
Oh my God.
What's up, Davo?
The wise decision to pass it off to the quicker Asher Woods, who gets himself in shooting.
I'm super excited to talk to this guy. Total Slayer with another 5, man. Let's fucking go.
Damn. Hell yeah,
Slayer feeling good before the tournament.
Turn me out.
Total Slayer granddaddy. Legitimately. He is granddaddy. Appreciate you guys, man. That's
he hit
awesome.
some shit?
Probably not. He's just probably being a good guy like he always is.
Fair enough.
Cool. Well, I figured we have a little bit of time. We have about 20 minutes before he jumps on. So I wanted to talk to chat and see what kind of games they want to talk about. Down to talk about games tomorrow. Down to talk about games Friday. Down to talk upsets. Maybe we ask Rolo first. You have a game that like stuck out to you that we should talk about first? Thursday or Friday, either one, just round one.
I did.
Look at him.
But I saw the news with Will Wade and NC State, and it's like no Louisiana basketball teams could get something good going for themselves at all. Like, this is disappointing. I was high on McNeese, but now it's like I want to rip the ticket up that I got. But looking at other games, honestly, hold on, let me pull it up. I'm sorry.
I mean, dude, McNeese is I feel like that game is extremely tough. I don't know what your guys' opinions are on Clemson, but to me, I mean, they're just so undervalued. Like, I think the ACC is being a little bit disrespected in terms of like, I mean, anybody who does well in the ACC gets somewhat of a asterisk other than Duke because of how dominant they've been, right? I don't know, like, how much else do you want? How much else do you want Clemson to do in the ACC? Like, they've been fantastic. They ended up beating Duke outright. I know I don't want to put too much stock into one game, but like, nobody would know who this McNeese team is other than like avid watchers of ball if their player manager hadn't gone viral for that walkout shit. Like, let's be real.
100%.
Which makes that pick a little bit more trendy, but I'm with you, Rolo.
I also thought about this what Total Slayer just said. As soon as I saw the news, because one of my friends actually sent it to me, and he told me to rip up my ticket. But I said, well, think about how many people are going to run to bet Clemson now. Seeing that news, maybe he might not just give a fuck at all. And it could just be a double-digit win for Clemson, but just playing devil's advocate. I mean,
with how analytically good Clemson is, like, I would figure, I know McNeese is great for a mid-major, don't get me wrong, but I did think the line was a tad short, I can't lie. For a team, maybe you could argue that Clemson hasn't gotten a lot of line respect, has been really well in terms of ATS record, but what do you guys think about that? Do you think the line is off at all? Because it's been frozen at 7. It hasn't moved to spec either direction.
At all. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's off, because what else would you make the line? I'm not going to give McNeese a shit ton of points because that team could run you off the court. But yeah. I mean, I think I'd honestly thought 6.5 was a good number, but 7.5, I would go with McNeese.
I guess with such a low total too, I guess it is somewhat uncomfortable to lay that 7 with a 133 total. somewhat obvious of an under, but not necessarily like something I'm running to take an over with. But I think it's a super interesting game as a whole. Royal, I don't know if you have any like intriguing thoughts on this one.
Yeah. No, I mean, I leaned Clemson off the rip. I just think that's a team that's really fucking good. They've been really good all year without barely any national recognition, in my opinion. I mean, aside from the Duke one, obviously. But I did want to kind of circle back. I remember like Crutch and Jeff, even Money, the guys that like really like mid-major ball, they always said McNeese got crazy line respect. I mean, I remember, not to rank on Jeff, I remember it was his first play of the season.
Yeah.
And they were saying, like, I think they lost outright or won by 1 or 2, but I just remember them having crazy fat lines they never covered. It was always like 17, 18, 15. They always won by like 7 or 8 or something. But I leaned Clemson off the rip. I still do, just because, I mean, that's not good news. I mean, you could say, you know, it's contrarian to bet McNeese now, but I mean, not to relate to the Bears, but people think when Ben Johnson took the job before, that's what gave him the Commanders' loss. I mean, it's just I think it's going to break up their team a little bit. But Clemson to me is a solid unit. They've been all year, defense, offense, studs. Yeah, so I lean them.
A lot of experience.
I lean them off the rip. Yeah.
Well, speaking of upsets, chat, I want to see from everybody what everybody's favorite upset is. And let's make sure it's, you know, let's be real when it comes to an upset. Let's not say like Colorado State, even though they're a 12 seed, but they're favored. You know what I mean? Like, you know, somewhat of an underdog, maybe like 4 points plus. What do you guys? VCU, I guess, is considered an underdog too, but you're getting my point. VCU is not the craziest upset pick in March. Like, let's be real. We can agree to that. We'd love to see what people think. Montana, I'm seeing a little bit. Bryant, Georgia. The more I
saw
think
a
about
lot
Georgia,
of Bryant.
Dude, I
saw a lot of Bryant.
I like
thing
Liberty.
with it.
Honestly,
I know I do too, but like when you look at Oregon, I feel like it's every year everyone fades them. I mean, I feel like I faded them. They've been in like Sweet 16 or they've gone deep almost every year with this coach. So like, I just feel like nobody ever likes taking Oregon to go far because they're never like dominant in the season, and like they seem like a vulnerable, right? They seem like a vulnerable like higher seed, and they end up in the Sweet 16 like every year. But
Rolo, you were saying,
I do like Liberty too.
I like Liberty a little bit. Rolo, you said you like Bryant, or were you saying that kind of the opposite?
No, I honestly do like Bryant. I don't like that I've seen kind of a lot of Bryant, but one upset that I don't think too many people talked about, like it's a handful of people, but majority I've seen are on Michigan. I think UC San Diego could make a run, honestly, bro. Like, I think they're going to be one of those teams that surprise us.
They're really good.
Let's just say UC San Diego beats Michigan. I mean, if A&M's UC San Diego, man, that game, if you like fucking rock fights, I mean, that has that written all over it. Not necessarily something that I think is going to happen. I personally lean Michigan slightly. But man, with that matchup would be a fun watch. For me, honestly, here's what I want to bring to everybody's attention. I want to just ask the question to everybody, and then I'll kind of talk about my upset pick that no one even mentioned in chat yet, because maybe it's a little egregious. But when we think about it, no, not Wofford, but when we think, I'll preface it with a question to everybody. When it comes to injuries, what teams are at the top of your mind in this March Madness in terms of affected by injuries? What teams are the most affected? I would say Iowa State is number one. You can make it an argument Kentucky's in that bucket.
Kentucky. Yeah.
Why isn't
like throughout the whole season?
No, I'm saying affected in terms of their lineup and what they're seeing in March. Like Iowa State, I mean, their two guards, Tamin Lispy, he's expected to play. He's dealing with a groin injury. Keyshawn Gilbert's obviously out. He's their biggest playmaker and best player, in my opinion. The team that nobody's talking about in terms of injuries is what I'm getting to my point is Texas Tech. That team is riddled with injuries. Chance McMillan and Darian Williams are both going to play, but I'd be lying to you guys if I thought they're 100%. And I really think a team like UNCW, where they're not going to be a favorable underdog, I really think this team has a good shot with how banged up Texas Tech is. And from an offensive standpoint, like they really live and die by McMillan and Williams. Like that's all their offense for the most part. Toppin is obviously an NBA caliber.
Yeah.
I'm taking him out of the equation. I'm talking about the injured folks here. But these guys are averaging, 15 plus points a game, both these guys, and saying that 2 out of their 3 ball dominant scorers are going to be, dealing with something. One being an upper body injury, Chance McMillan was a guy who was dealing with a lower body injury, pretty sure an ankle injury, and now he's dealing with an upper body. Who the hell even knows what that means, which is concerning. And I read a report that Darren Williams was in a walking boot this other Friday. So, who knows the status of these 2 guys? And I really think Texas Tech is in a spot where nobody's talking about their injuries as much as some of these other teams. So it's just kind of head scratching to me. I think UNCW could at least keep it close in terms of these big spread dogs.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sydney Thomas has Alabama State upsetting Auburn. So
she also has VCU.
Bro, everybody has VCU.
Everybody.
I think a sneaky one is
it's also
the other
Twitter,
versus Illinois. So I feel like I was saying this before last night, when you have the higher seeds with UNC and how great they looked, people are just gonna cruise past this one here. But my only fear is Illinois has not looked great really at any point in the season besides the first few weeks. But I feel like Texas and Xavier, man, whoever wins this game, I feel like they're going to come in red hot, and Illinois is very vulnerable in my opinion.
Yeah,
This is my one fear right here. Nobody thinks Illinois is good.
I think 2 playing teams? I don't think 2 playing teams are going to do anything significant. Both teams, and for me, the playing team, you call it square. It's UNC for me. I think they're playing. They got hot at the right time at the end of the day, and they have potential. I don't really see the same with Texas and Xavier. I got to be real with you. I know Illinois is maybe not the best team, but I don't see Xavier or Texas doing much more than maybe an upset to Illinois. But to say that they're going to be –
that was my point, yeah.
To say that they're going to beat a Kentucky or a UCLA or a Tennessee is kind of crazy in my opinion. But why, though, Texas beat better teams than UNC, though? Texas is just a team I'm not super fond on, to be honest. It's it's my personal opinion. Trey Johnson's great, but outside
Isn't it just
of that,
a one-man show in Texas?
They've shown. They've been playing better ball than the beginning conference play for sure. But I don't know. I'm just not super sold on Texas. And let's be real. We can't assume that Texas is going to win. We got to see what happens, right? So. 10 seeds are 1-14 all-time ML against the spread when they have a better record than the 7 seed they're playing. That's Utah State, New Mexico.
Yeah, wow. Utah State, man, they're a scary team.
That's a great little nugget, Jared. It's a great nugget.
You add in the fact that it's a Mountain West team, and the number gets even worse.
Thank you.
That's a W nug. I appreciate that. Chat, bring up some games that we can talk about. Anything that you guys would like to hear our opinions on. We're kind of bouncing around, freestyling until Jack gets up here. Not a mush. What the hell is up, brother?
What do you guys think about Baylor, Miss State before we get into chat?
Dude, I think it's weird as fuck.
That's a coin flip.
Baylor opened up as a favorite. That's fucking insane to me. That makes me instantly like Baylor. Throw everything out the window. Baylor's a bad team. Mississippi State's, I've been saying it, they're the supreme sticker of college basketball. They got Hubbard. He's great, but he's a gnome. And Baylor's kind of just mid in a lot of people's eyes. I don't think they should open up as a favorite on a neutral. I can't lie to you. I think it's insane. I think tickets moved it the other way.
I see Mississippi State open as a favorite.
No, Mississippi State's laying 1 now, but Oregon was Baylor was 100% favorite. 100%. 100%. They were -1. Now it flipped.
Checking another site quick.
But who cares? At the end of the day, I think this line is a bit off. If they didn't, I think Mississippi State on a neutral should be laying at least a full possession, in my opinion. But we can move on. Marquette, New Mexico. That's another really cool matchup. I'm personally a big UNM guy. What do you guys think? I personally absolutely.
I think they win their first game. I think they win round 1 and they get bounced immediately.
Is there a way to take fucking Cam Jones and Donovan Dent combined point line? Because I can just see those guys firing back and forth, man. Like those guys are gonna be talking shit the entire game. Elite guard play, like that shit's gonna be a cinema to watch. That's gonna be so much fun. I'll check my DM. Gil, I got you. But what do you guys think about UNM and Marquette? That's a great game. I personally lean UNM slightly. I just want to see Donovan Dent, kind of somewhat of a low major guard, do some crazy things in March. And I think Marquette's a bit fugazi. Cam Jones is great, but I think Marquette's a bit fugazi.
This is my exact thoughts here. Yeah, I think Marquette. I think they go to the Sweet 16. I think they're a team that nobody fucking likes. The only thing they're missing is, in my opinion, a paint presence. I mean, great guards. They have great defensive guards, great shooting forwards. They're just missing that big man that holds them back. But, man, if Cam Jones, Mitchell, Ross, Joplin, everybody's hitting their shots, that team's going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, New Mexico has their offense is fucking insane.
Just got word from a reliable source. Apparently, Chance McMillan is possibly out for the season. He's expected to play on a lot of websites right now. But like I said, he was coming off a lower body injury. Now he's dealing with an upper body injury that held him to like 13 minutes against Arizona. I think if anybody's taking Texas Tech to go far, I think you should have some real concerns with some of those injuries, especially with how unpopular the news feels like. Everyone's talking about Kentucky and Iowa State being beat up. Like Texas Tech, I could argue, is more beat up than those two. I do want to bring up a game, not an upset in my opinion, but an absolute smash spot is Kentucky versus Troy. I mean, I think people forget that Kentucky has pretty much all the components to be honestly a 2 or a 1 seed if they weren't riddled with injuries. I mean, obviously Jackson Robinson isn't coming back, but Andrew Carr is going to be, in my opinion, the most healthy that we've seen him as of late. He was coming off a back injury, I believe, and was kind of dealing with it and kind of rehabbing it as he goes. But he's had a lot of time to rest, and I think he's going to be a full go. I know he's going to be expected to play, but I think he's going to be playing fully capable. And Kentucky's a team with 11 quad 1 wins. This is a team that has gone on the road and won. They played at home against good competition and won. And people just kind of throw them out the window because of how bad their defenses looked. Well, maybe their defenses look bad because a lot of their starters have been injured throughout conference play, and one of their best defenders in Andrew Carr has been a main reason because of that. Not saying that it's going to make a huge difference, but Kentucky's a team that, I mean, lost in the first round last year, now plays a Troy team. Troy is fucking terrible in terms of shooting the ball from 3, and they turn the ball over a shit ton. That's the worst kind of matchup if you're playing a running gun team like Kentucky. We're getting a 152 spread. Tells me Kentucky's going to be hitting their shots, running in transition, and doing dirty, dirty things to the Troy Trojans. I mean, they chuck and they don't hit. Troy is literally bottom 30 in 3-point percentage. You're telling me that team is going to stay even slightly competent with a Kentucky team is crazy. Like their defensive metrics maybe are great, and their offensive rebounding is great. They haven't been playing SEC teams. I'm sorry, but you can throw that shit out the window. I'm sorry. You're not going to be offensive. You're not going to be rebounding on the offensive glass as much against a team like Kentucky. You're just not going to. So I like them on the spread personally. But what do you guys think? You like that?
I agree. I took OA points. I think Kentucky, I think they run them out the gym. Saw Troy's, I don't want to say popular, but a little more Troy love than I expected, I think. I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think that team's just flat out terrible. Kentucky's probably – I have to see all the 3 seeds, but I feel like people would probably want to fade them the most because, like you said, their defense, I mean, it's scary.
And
it's
last
bad.
year.
It's not good. But again, last year too, yep. But, like, this team can score 100+ any single game. Doesn't matter how bad their defense is when they can do that. Not many teams can do that.
If Kentucky puts up 80 points, they're covering.
Kentucky team total, MJ.
I like both. I like both. I mean,
you like them to cover and the TT? Also?
Yeah, I think
it's a good point.
I think people getting sharp with Troy is just like you look at their defensive metrics and you're like, oh, they're pretty good. They're not playing run and gun teams like Kentucky. This offense is elite at their best. Yes, they won't have Jackson Robinson, but they're getting all their guys back, the healthiest that they've been in a long time. And that's been the problem that has plagued Kentucky. New coach with Mark Pope that wants to make a statement in the first round of March. They are going to run up the score. I would not be surprised if they win this game legitimately by 30. I'm not kidding. But I really see it as one of the best blowout potentials of the first round. So
I think that's everybody's. I would say that's probably like the favorite upset. It's either it goes to me personally. I seen everybody like Akron, Bryant,
Drake.
Troy.
Seen a lot.
I saw a little bit of Drake too, but I think a lot of people are betting on Troy, honestly, the most out of all three.
I agree. 3 games for you guys. UConn.
Yeah, I was gonna pull that up, man. I hate to see this one. Like, I could not be on a farther opposite side than you, Big Matty Mart, which I hate to say.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
I mean, either one. I was just gonna. I mean, we kind of hit those last night too, but we can go UConn first. That's probably. I think it's earlier in the week.
How has back-to-back champs?
We don't see them very often. We don't see back-to-back champs very often. I don't think there's going to be a lot of data behind that trend.
I mean, I would just love to see the sore loser in Dan Hurley lose round 1. That'll literally be cinema. He'll be like bitching at everybody.
I think, like, and wouldn't it be the funniest team to do it is Oklahoma too? Like the most like incompetent team at times. Like it's been so interesting, the Oklahoma team. I think does anybody have news on? I think it's Godwin, Sam Godwin. He's a center for Oklahoma. Pretty sure he's out with an injury. The thing that concerns me with Oklahoma is like they can't rebound for shit, and their center is hurt, most likely banged up with a knee injury. That concerns me. They're playing a backup big man. Oklahoma's already struggled and is extremely small, as Bockley has said. Like, it's tough for me to say that UConn's not going to handle business. Would I like to see Oklahoma make an upset here? For sure. I think it's definitely uncomfortable. But in the rebound category, I don't know how they stay with it, to be honest.
These guys are as inconsistent as it gets, but who the fuck is stopping McNeely or Ball? Like, Ball, in my opinion, is – I don't want to say he's the X factor just because McNeely's so much better, like, overall. But, man, if that guy gets hot, it's tough to beat UConn, which is crazy to say he's one person, but he really is. I don't know how to explain it, but I think he's an X factor. But those two wings, man, it's going to be a long day. And then you got Caravan, too, who does so much for them. But I'm not even saying UConn's going to go far. I just think there's a lot of value on them round 1, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Who's dropping fears? Nobody, bro. He's going to be NBA pick, probably a very high one. But in my opinion, you got 2 of them, and you have Caravan. They really only have fears. I don't love Jalen Moore that much.
Do we really think either of these teams are fucking beating Florida? Like, let's be real. Probably not. So, like, I'm not putting too much stock in this game. I'm probably not even going to be betting it. It's going to be 1 point differential in my bracket. Like, who really gives a fuck? With that being said, Florida might lose second round. Who knows? I mean, nobody's expecting it. What's the next game we were talking about? Or someone brought up?
Gonzaga.
He's going to be on, and Jackson's going to be on in 4 minutes. Gonzaga, Georgia. So this is DJ's 5 unit.
I love Gonzaga, unfortunately. I know I hate it.
DJ's 5 unit is on what?
Georgia.
Georgia.
I initially leaned Gonzaga, but I'm starting to get cold feet a bit. I watched the St. Mary's and Gonzaga game, and like I know analytically both these teams are phenomenal, but like St. Mary's, man, like at first I thought they were somewhat undervalued in this bracket, but like I watched this team play and I'm like, good Lord, like I just can't see one SEC team really getting dominated by this Gonzaga team. And like Georgia's defense is phenomenal. They're going to be physical for sure. With that being said, like this line has gotten to -7.5 towards Gonzaga. So maybe the books know something that I don't, but that line seems insanely egregious, like extremely fat for Gonzaga. A lot of respect for them to be laying that number against any SEC opponent. I mean, we've seen Georgia play with some of the best competition. Maybe it is good to fade the steam, Trice. That might be the way to play it. I'm not going to get involved. I think you got the worst number possible with Gonzaga if you're laying 7 with a 5.5 opener, 4.5 opener. Man, this is a really tough one. I don't know what to think. It's kind of got me in a blender, if I got to be real.
I didn't know it opened at 4.5.
It was quickly steamed.
Yeah, I'm straight on that. But
why?
Going back to what Mush said, we gotta take High Point Purdue first half under. First game of the tournament.
Oh no, fuck no, dude. Neither of these teams play any defense. Purdue's gonna put up probably close to 100. If High Point's gonna cover, they're gonna put up.
Oh yeah, that's your 2-unit play,
dude. That might be the worst. I'm sorry, Mush. Like that might be the worst first half under you could possibly take. I'm not gonna be real, dude. I'm sorry, dude. And I don't even think that's the first game.
So far,
that's not even the first game of the day either. So a lot of things wrong with what was just said.
You asked why I love Gonzaga.
Yes, why?
I mean, one, we know how bad they are off their home court, aside from that late run, which is why I think people are buying in because they're getting hot at the right time. Like, to me, it's like that team was playing out of their fucking mind. That's not them getting hot. That's just them on a hot streak. It's not saying, like, this is them. Like, what Florida's doing. What Florida's doing is sustainable. What Georgia did is not sustainable. Like, that team is just flat out mid because they play in the SEC. Sure, if they were in the Mountain West, like we talked about, they might get a little more recognition.
They don't have a bucket getter, man. Their offense is pretty bad at some
Dude,
points.
This is Nembhard's, Hickman. Like, this is their third tournament. Like, these guys, they're all senior guards. Caliph Battle, Nembhard, Hickman. They got EK. Like, this is one of the most experienced teams in the tourney. The coach, I mean, you could say he's playing for his job. I don't think it's at that yet, but honestly, he does need to start winning more in March at this point. Yeah, I agree. Silas has been balling, but like I don't see that. I don't see that sustainable. I really don't. Like Blue Cane, I don't see it sustainable. I don't think they're gonna clamp these Gonzaga guards that have a ton of experience. They've been playing together for years, aside from Battle. So, and Gonzaga has a ton of depth too. I know we talked about that could be an issue in March, but you know, Gonzaga goes with the hot hand too. We saw Battle middle to end of the season barely playing because I think it was Incinetti got hot. But yeah, they have a ton of depth. They got experienced guards, good backup bigs. I don't like Georgia at all.
Okay, I'm a little torn on the side. I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia pulled this game out randomly, but they lose by 6.
I mean, Georgia would be the team, man. I don't think. I mean, I guess I did see they were a little popular, but I feel like Georgia would be the random SEC team to make it deep just because how like inconsistent and mid they were all season.
Yeah,
either of them could be used in the second round.
I just got the fucking highlight tape from Jack too, so we'll play that as soon as he joins, right before we bring him up. Excited to talk some ball with him. All right, well, I liked what you said. Gave me a good sell job. Rolo, do you have anything in terms of Zags, or what are you thinking?
Real quick, that's Caleb Grill, by the way, not Blue.
After so much, I mean, the only person that I know that would be probably on Gonzaga is Royal. So I don't see how they don't cover. Everybody loves Georgia, bro.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I think this is a really tough game either way. It seems like it's 50-50 in terms of like the people that we talk to, which is I don't know what to think in terms of what the public side to be. I really don't. I don't know if people think Georgia's a real deal, but at the same time, I know for a fact that there's a lot of non-believers in Gonzaga as well. So pretty interesting game.
Honestly, the way this game's going to go, one of EK or Newell is going to get in foul trouble right away, and that's probably going to set the tone of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably the best players on each side, and they both foul and get the other in foul trouble a lot too.
I wanted to bring up another game. Exactly. I have some thoughts on actually, I want to get your thoughts on A&M and Yale.
This is everybody's favorite upset right here too.
Dude, I'm starting to fall in love with A&M to make a run. I really do think it's A&M and Auburn in the Sweet 16 for a rematch of what we remember A&M upsetting Auburn to be. I really see that happening. With that being said, we got Jack in the building, so we're just going to run his highlight tape. Jack, we're going to bring you up in a second. Can you hear us all good? Give me a thumbs up. Let's go, man. Let's go, man. All right, we're going to run his highlight tape for a little bit. It's 30 minutes long, so we're not going to run the whole thing, obviously, but we're definitely going to see what he's got. So if you guys don't know, he's a play-by-play announcer for some of the big networks for college b-ball. And, yeah, we have him up here, so we're going to talk some ball with him. And, yeah, let's get some W's for Jack. Make sure you guys follow him. It's Jack Benjamin on Twitter. And yeah, man, let's see what we got here. I'm gonna tweet the link too.
Gets a screen. Downhill he goes. Swiped away. 3 to go. 2 and 1. Once for the win. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's gotta be the best one. I mean, if you have a better call than that, Jack, I gotta see it.
That's up there with Mike Breen.
There is no better man to introduce all of you to March, the coach, Mark Enthusiasms. I'm Jack Benjamin. Happy Feast Week Friday with the coach, Matt McCall. Jack Benjamin with you. Here comes Thomas. He's hit a couple of daggers this year. Shot clock's turned off at 3, at 2. Thomas falls away.
Oh, my God. You called this one, too?
With 0.9 to go.
That's crazy.
Thomas time at the Ryan Center again. Still a 1-1. Crucial front end. No good.
Oh, my God. There's another buzzer beater.
With a 3. Do you foul or 2? Rob Hunter typically defends in this situation. Carrington off the bounce. Kick out for Barnes for the tie.
You bet.
You bet, stuff.
You bet. Well, without further ado, let's bring him up. I was gonna say, Jack. I mean, you got the fucking voice for it, bro. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, I think when I tried to upload the video, it added about 29 minutes that shouldn't have been there. So yeah, I don't think anyone wants to hear all that. But appreciate you guys having me, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Dude, I gotta say, this is kind of cool because we're getting a perspective from somebody that, I mean, this is a dream for, I feel like, a lot of people, is to be so close to the game like you are. And being like your job is to basically watch and give your thoughts on college basketball. Like, that's my dream at the end of the day. Maybe not an announcing perspective, but definitely in a content way. Was this something that you like always wanted to do, like as a kid, or like how the hell did you get into it in the first place? Because I think the origin story is probably the most unique.
Yeah, I think those two are kind of, pretty similar questions, yet it's a little bit different sort of in terms of how I got into it versus, sort of where my passions were starting out. I think the same way as you three guys on here and probably everybody listening in, I grew up with a dad who loves sports, and some of you might have families who love sports or that kind of thing. I'm a native New Yorker from the suburbs of New York City. So shout out anyone from that area of the country. And yes, to answer anyone who's curious, it's Yankees, Knicks, Giants, Rangers for me. So I had a dad who kind of raised me that way, and I'd watch everything I could. And I think for me, it was always when I kind of got to the point where I was in high school. There you go. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, when I got to the point where I was in high school, I think I kind of knew, I wanted to do something related to sports. I don't think I knew that sports broadcasting would be my calling necessarily. And I actually went to, if any of you guys know it, I'd be impressed. I went to Santa Clara University out in California. It's a home of Steve Nash. If any of you remember that, obviously we're in March Madness season now. One of the great upsets in NCAA history was when Santa Clara beat 2-seed Arizona as a 15. That was the first ever 15/2. And, we're at the point now where a couple of years ago, Princeton knocked off a 2. Obviously, everybody remembers Florida Gulf Coast. We've had 2 16s beat a 1 now. So, unfortunately for me, my alma mater hasn't been at the big dance in nearly 30 years now. In fact, in my lifetime, they haven't been to the NCAA tournament. So I'm hoping at some point soon I want to watch us on the NIT, on ESPNU this time of year. But it's I got to college and we had a student radio station, and I sort of went into the thought process of, hey, maybe this is something I could try doing. We didn't have any kind of established broadcast program, but I started one up and began calling games the high school level, and we didn't have a football team at Santa Clara. Just basketball was kind of the main sport, along with baseball, football, whatever. And I would drive 3 hours to junior colleges and just do a mock tape into a recorder. And our big game every year in the West Coast Conference, as you guys know, it's Gonzaga and St. Mary's, and those are two teams I'm sure we'll talk about in the bracket. But Gonzaga was the big game. I remember being a freshman at Santa Clara. I'd sit in the top row of the stands and with my phone just kind of recording myself doing a practice radio broadcast, and it just sort of took off from there and kind of got some internships doing baseball, and it's expanded to the point now. I know you played my basketball, and that's what I'm here to. I love basketball.
I saw your football as well.
Yeah, I mean, basketball is my number one to call, man. But I'm up to now 28 different sports I think that I've done. So
holy hell!
Yeah, it's been a bunch. I've got the got the Tokyo sweater on here. I did. Done the Olympics for NBC. Done some pretty cool stuff. So just fortunate to get to call this a job. And again,
dude, we're fortunate to have you on, man. I mean, this is pretty fucking cool to like get your perspective and like share your experiences. I'm pumped to connect with you. I'm pumped to have you on. So thank you for coming again.
Yeah. No, of course.
I wanted to ask you, if you had to pick one game out of the round ones, who would you want to commentate on outside of McNeese? Because I know you have somewhat of a soft spot for that team, and we'll get into why. But what game would you want to commentate the most in round one, you think?
That wouldn't be that. I actually wouldn't. I wouldn't. That's a good guess. That wouldn't be my pick on the round one game. I think it's going to be a good one, but. Boy, see, I thought you were going to ask me the question of if you had to pick one round one game, which one has the chance to go, 6 overtimes like Cuse UConn at the Garden back in 2009 or whatever it was. I think it kind of goes hand in hand, right? As an announcer,
yeah, it does.
I want to call the best,
the most exciting
round one. There are 3 or 4 that I've been eyeing the bracket over the course of the last couple of days, thinking about this. There are a number of them. I think the Arkansas-Kansas matchup, for those who are power conference people. Now I'm a mid-major guy at heart. I told you guys I went to Santa Clara, so naturally there's a bunch of mid-major ones I'll get into too. But the fact that you get a John Calipari Arkansas team in round one against Bill Self with the right to more than likely play Rick Pitino in round 2. Yeah. I think that round one. I mean, if I had a choice to go to any region in the first round, and if any of you have an ability to drive over or fly over to Providence, you got a ticket. I'm going to Providence to watch what's going to go down there, because it's just Hall of Fame coaches galore in that West region. I think the storylines of that matchup are going to be awesome. So I think that's one that's on the list for me for sure. I think there's a number of really good 5-12s. You mentioned McNeese Clemson, and that's a good one. I don't even know if McNeese Clemson is the top 5-12. I don't know, Michael, if I told you this before, but got a bunch of family members who went to Michigan. So I'm removing my bias from this. Michigan got it. I'm gonna be, if you're looking for a mid-major a sleeper, and I'm sure you guys have already talked about them. Me as a West Coast guy, having gone to college out there, and being, a Big Ten guy at heart, because I've got, I think, 6 family members who graduated from Michigan, from my grandpa to multiple uncles to cousins. Michigan wins the Big Ten, knocking off who they had to go through.
Wisconsin.
Purdue. Wisconsin. Well, it was Purdue. Yeah, it was Purdue, Maryland, Wisconsin. Where all 3 of those teams seeded above Michigan on the seed line. They had to go through the 3 of those teams to win the Big Ten tournament, and their reward is taking on a UC San Diego team. I don't know if you guys have followed them, but they are absolutely incredible. They are the best mid-major by far. They're top 40 in Ken Pom. They've got a kid from New Zealand, Aniwa Tate Jones, who averages about 20 points per game, and he's incredible to watch. I told all my friends heading into before the Big Ten title game, I'm like, man, I'm UC San Diego. I'm taking them to go to the second weekend. And here we go now. I got, of course, Michigan got a tough draw. I mean, Michigan, in my opinion, should be at the worst. They should have been the top, and I think they were the top 5 seed, and they drew the top 12 seed just because of the way bracket demographics work out, geography and whatnot. But that is going to be a really, really good matchup, considering the fact that UC San Diego spreads you out, shoots threes, gets up and down. Their first year being eligible for the Division I tournament, they've gone 30-4. And then you got Michigan with the 2 7-footers, but the problem is they turn the ball over a ton, and they're not consistent.
So you think they're going to be competitive with the 7-footers? How do you see that kind of working out?
I do. I think they'll be. I'm not saying I'm picking them to win, but I think that's a really tough draw for Michigan in round 1. I think a better draw for Michigan. You mentioned McNeese Clemson. Like, Clemson has a good bit of size, really good guard play. Don't turn it over that much. The kind of matchup for Michigan that would have been great is drawing a team like McNeese, where McNeese's tallest guy, who really plays rotational minutes, is 6'9", 6'10". They really don't have a lot of depth on the front line. UC San Diego, it's just a complete contrast of styles with Michigan, and they can really light it up and shoot it. And they've got various guys. They've got a guy, I think, I'm trying to think of his name. Hayden Gray is the guy. I was thinking of his name earlier. A buddy of mine was talking to me about this. Hayden Gray, if you're curious, like looking for a name of someone else on UC San Diego outside of Tate Jones, he leads the nation in steals. I mean, a team that turns the ball over, UCSD is like your worst nightmare in my opinion. So I do think that they can hang with Michigan a little bit.
I was saying it earlier. I would love to see UCSD play Texas A&M just because I feel like that would be like the nastiest basketball game to ever exist.
Buzz Williams, man, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
I have a question for Jack that I'm curious on. Not to backtrack too much, but
fire on anything, guys.
Yeah,
not to backtrack. It's
chat. Please ask in chat if you guys have questions for him too.
Yeah, anything. Go ahead.
It's not about March Madness, unfortunately, but I've always been curious on how like a play-by-play, because I know you mentioned you kind of did like mock recordings. Like, is there like a tryout? Is there, I guess, how do you get that job? How do you get picked? Is there like a tryout process? Or a mock game? Yeah, kind of like the final like acceptance.
Yeah, I would say it's a lot different than going into some kind of job in finance or real estate or joining becoming a lawyer and going along.
Right. It's a little bit different.
It's a much different process from that. So that's
I've always been curious.
Yeah, so in that regard, that's a great question. There are kind of various ways that guys go about it. I'm going to speak to the perspective. I mean, I'm 28 years old. I'll speak from the perspective of someone who's kind of going through it while in college and then trying to find their first pathway into the industry, basically. Basically, nowadays it's so easy. I mean, all you guys know, college basketball you can watch literally anywhere because it's streaming on ESPN Plus, on Peacock, on the Fox Sports app. I mean, it's on all the time, anywhere. When the year I graduated college was right around the year that ESPN Plus launched, so I got kind of lucky in that regard that people needed announcers to do events.
Exposure gets a bit bigger.
Exactly, and at the end of the day, with all the ESPN Plus content and all these games that there are broadcast, they need announcers for them. So the route for the most part prior to me graduating and the people who I had as mentors and would pick their brain. It was, the number one way people did this was you hop into minor league baseball and you start out while you're in college. I did a couple of years of collegiate wood bat league baseball. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Cape Cod League, but for baseball, that's kind of that's awesome. The route for college kids who haven't quite gotten drafted yet or draft eligible. They play, in these really good wood bat leagues over the summer. And for me as an announcer, I got to call, 150 games over 2 summers of college. Now I was in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Yakima, Washington. So I was sort of in the middle of nowhere. I think I've lived now in 8 states. And again, I'm 28 years old. So it's kind of like, wherever you got to go to get reps, you get reps. But to answer your question, it's number one, getting the reps, putting a tape together. And then it's kind of deciding on, what sport or avenue you might want to pursue. And so in my sense, I kind of knew I love calling baseball. I would love to do, Major League Baseball. And I haven't yet done linear baseball for ESPN. I've done it on ESPN platforms, but that a goal of mine would be to call the College World Series or to one day call the MLB. But there's also the route now of going you go to these small colleges, and so for me, I started out at, you guys know Davidson because of Steph Curry. The first school to give me a chance to call their games was Davidson, and so I went there. I remember walking in on day one and I see all the Steph posters, and they've got his MVP trophies up there, and it's mid-major hoops at its finest. And that's kind of I'm sort of like a mid-major underdog guy. It's just kind of my background, having kind of where I come from, and I have so much appreciation for it. So Davidson gave me a shot. They the Atlantic 10 is one of many conferences that have a deal with ESPN, and I started out doing their games. That led to doing some stuff for University of Virginia, and for UVA, I didn't start out as UVA's basketball voice. I started out doing field hockey, and then that turned into soccer, and then turned into volleyball, and then my first real break, I would say, was being UVA's women's basketball voice, and I do take some pride in this. I showed up at UVA. They had just lost to UMBC. Everyone obviously there was just incredibly down, and I arrived there, and A mentor of mine is Dave Kane. He's the radio voice of the Bucks, and he kind of showed me the ropes and said, "Hey, we might have an opportunity here for you to do some women's basketball and some Olympic sports." And the year I showed up is the year they won the national title, and they went from losing.
Dude, you are a model of outside of just your industry. That just goes to show that you make the most out of any opportunity that one door opens. Like, you don't know the possibilities on the other side of it. So like, you really built your way up, and it's very honorable and pretty impressive, honestly.
No, I appreciate you saying that. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure I answered his question in full. So yeah, it's the different routes,
well,
right? Like going the school route, go the minor league route, go the a lot of look. I'll be honest. There's a lot of guys, and I got lucky that I didn't necessarily have to do this off the bat. But I've done night shifts at radio stations. I've done non-broadcast stuff. I've sat at the broadcast table with a headset just to help out the ESPN production. I've carried cameras. I used to, when I was doing my baseball internship, man, my job was to do everything, including rolling the tarp when there's a rain delay. I'm not nothing can be. If you want to survive in this industry,
you just live and breathe the game at the end of the
day. Nothing can be too high above you, right? And so that's why for me, whether it's I've had a lot of situations where I remember a couple of years ago, I was calling St. John's Seton Hall for FS1. The next day, I was calling a game in the Southland between two teams for $50 on ESPN Plus. It's the reality of our industry, and so you kind of get that level where you're consistently doing it. So
that's awesome.
No, I definitely appreciate that. I always thought there was my theory was on how they actually decide. It sounds like you're saying you just kind of build up a resume of games you've called and recordings. I always thought it was something along the lines of they would play an old game on mute and have you call it live to see how you would do. I always thought there was something like that, or a mock game or something.
The one thing I will say too, and if there's anyone in here who's curious and wants to ask further about this, I'm happy to answer. But I mean a big part of this that I will add too for you guys, and I mean this is happening right now. This kind of stuff for me, I love doing because what I do is a relationship business, probably more than any other business. Some of my best friends in the world are guys who are fellow play-by-play announcers. And it's a truly I consider it a brotherhood. I mean, there are women now who are doing play-by-play too, who I'm friendly with also. I don't mean to rule them out calling it a brotherhood, but it's literally a really good network of and peers. And there's people who obviously make decisions. They're called coordinating producers or executive producers. And it's not always about how talented you are, how good your call is on a game winner. It's about, hey, they enjoy working with this guy? Was this guy a good teammate? Is he easy to work with? Is he willing to I got called by ESPN to do a football game on 20 hours notice last year, and I had to get to San Antonio. Are you willing to do that? That's a lot of the stuff that goes into. Are you going to get further opportunities and be able to kind of make it a career?
Making sacrifices. We have a few questions from chat, so let's just rapid fire these out to you. Let me start with the first one. I believe it was, if you had to commentate on one conference for the rest of your time, which one would it be? I'm assuming they're asking college basketball.
What? Okay, I was going to say,
I will preface too. This guy, I mean, this is the first comment that he's ever taken seriously. Outside of this comment, ever. This is probably the most egregious commentator.
So can I give the? You guys just want the answer in basketball, or you want it in other college sports?
In basketball works because we got a bunch of questions for you.
Yeah, I know basketball is the relevant one right now. Boy, this is hard. I'm such a mid-major guy at heart. The bottom line is I know you're just saying that. The number one thing I want to do in college basketball as a broadcaster is one day be calling the NCAA tournament. So that's just so everybody knows that's my top priority. I love every.
If there's any email that we can blast emails to, I know our following will do it for you, saying, "Hey, we need Jack Benjamin on a game."
Give this guy a shot.
We got your highlight tape. We can move this thing around. We got the distribution for you, Jack. This is gonna be a win-win type of thing.
No, hey, I appreciate you guys saying that. There's as much as I would look. I appreciate you saying that, and I'll look. I'm happy, obviously, for anyone who's willing to ever who likes my stuff and willing to put in a word. And I get before I answer your question about the conference. What I just the way you're doing a decent job at your broadcasting is I'll check whether it's X or Instagram or TikTok after a game. And I was calling. I'll be calling I don't know. I'm using an example. I called Arkansas State Marshall earlier this year, and I got 10 messages from Marshall alums just killing me for, man, you're such an A-State homer, like, and then Arkansas State to 20 guys like, man, can you give any more favoritism to Marshall? It's one of those. It's a subjective industry, but I'm kind of, a lot of times it's like a baseball umpire. If you're not getting mentioned, you're doing an okay job. So that's a piece of it too.
Never thought about that, because you always hear like today, like Doris Burke, she always gets like fried for like just raising 76ers.
Doris Burke. You said?
Okay, yeah, NBA, yeah. No, she gets like the bias tag a lot, and I forget what the other one is.
At the same time, as many comments as you see that are negative about her, there's a ton of other ones that are positive. And I'll tell you what, the top decision-making people that there are, she's calling the NBA Finals and is a pioneer. So at the end of the day, like, that's like, for me, I've got appreciation and respect for everybody who has made it to that level that I want to get to. And I feel like there's always things I can take away from every one of them. Real quick though, one conference, rest of the way, boy, I mean, part of this is projection, right? It's like you got to look at conference realignment too. The current, this is basically, let's be honest, this is basically down to 3 conferences right now, because it's either going to be the ACC, the SEC, or the Big 12. Big 10 too. 4 conferences. The way it's constructed. I think with my background and just sort of like, I don't know, just kind of the spots of the country I like the most, and some of the schools I've just kind of followed forever. I think the Big 10 beats out the ACC just barely, but it's close.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you on that.
I think for me, it's for me. My rationale there is like SEC and I know we'll talk about this. SEC has been by far the best conference in America this year. It's not even close. The ACC has the prestige of Duke and North Carolina, and it's unbelievable. But I think for me, having gone to school in California, having my ties to Michigan, knowing the rivalries in the Big Ten, how deep that league is going to be, the ability to do a game out west and then do games, kind of coast to coast, that part of it would appeal to me. So hopefully I don't have to make this decision ever, but I guess if I had to put a gun to my head and said it'd have to be the Big Ten.
Next one is, do you find that announcers are trying to find their own like type of saying, like the Mike Breen bang or kind of catchphrase? Because I know the few buzzer beaters that I saw, you kind of had some different. You had a yes sir. You had what were the other ones?
I think
You
one
Bet.
of those was,
You Bet was a great one.
I've used I did take one from you guys. I'm sure you guys know Kevin Harlan. He's a mentor of mine. I'm lucky to call him a friend. I took the bullseye line from him. When guys hit late shots, I'll say, I'll work a bullseye in there. I'll work Marv Albert's a mentor of mine also. I'll say just yes, on a kind of like an inflection basis. But
is that something you like determine pregame, or do you have like a feel in your head?
Yeah, the guy who just commented about the Hornets announcer, Eric Collins, is the guy he's talking
about. I need to know your thoughts.
Eric Collins. Eric Collins is a good friend of mine too. So he's you guys could ask me any.
He's so great.
You could ask me any team or network, flip on a game. Hey, Jack, who's the play-by-play guy? I could probably name it for you. I mean, I'm just a nerd for this stuff. But sorry, man. Going back to your question. What was it again?
It was this one here.
He was asking about catchphrase. No, he was asking about the catchphrases.
Yeah, right here.
I was saying, is it like more natural, or is it like is it freestyled at the end of the day?
Oh yeah.
Or do you have a few things in your head? I mean, obviously, it's like you're going off what's happening in real time, right?
100%. What I'm gonna try to, I'll try to do for you guys. I'm sure I've got one sitting around here. One of my broadcasting charts. Before the end of this, I'll show you guys kind of what I use when I'm on the air. It's like a cheat sheet we make. But yeah, the calls like late game, the game winners and stuff. Any guy who rehearses those, in my opinion, it's just not going to come out naturally. It's not going. Yeah. You're not going to hit the right tone. It's just too hard. I mean, how can you? If I had like the line, the You Bet line ready, and I wanted to use that, say that ball.
It's coming from Jack's heart, guys. Yeah, it's coming from his heart.
No, but also, man, like if that ball, that shot by the guy on the left wing, if that hits the front rim and then the top of the backboard and then the rim again, like the Kawhi shot in Toronto against the Sixers. The call's got to be completely different. That right. Turns into me saying, "Oh, he got it." Like who knows? it's all reacting in the moment.
It's a heat of the moment type of situation.
100%.
I was when you said that, I actually was there for half a second, Jack. When I was actually in the building.
Yeah, I've got the Kevin Harlan call. I think was something like, "Is this the dagger?" And then he waits, for 5 seconds while the ball's bouncing like Plinko on the rim. And I mean, it's amazing because he waits for it. He's like, "God."
So I have a fun kind of idea that I didn't talk to you about, but I'd like to ask if we could do it. There's a few notable moments in March, and I'd like to see if we could put it on mute, and you could broadcast it live from your perspective. Maybe just one, maybe two. I was thinking you could do it for maybe the end of Villanova UNC. What do you think?
I knew you were going to bring that up. I got to be honest, man. I'm not sure I can. I'm not sure. So I have a good reason for this. I'm not sure I can do this for you because Jim Nantz is also someone who I know a bit and have enormous respect for, and I literally think his call was perfection on that.
Perfect. Can't tamper with greatness.
I don't want to mess around with the. If I'll give the people what they want if they really want to hear me call something. I don't know if I can do that with the Chris Jenkins one.
Chris Jenkins. It's so good.
I was actually.
Can we reenact this one? Can you see the comment?
Bosch back out to Allen.
Of course, that's a Mike Burns bang one. Yeah, again, like that's.
Oh, true.
It's funny because I've run it's a great question. I'm happy to try one. I'm sure I'll look like a fool after doing it because I just like those two examples. By the way, it says like. Everybody you got in here listening and watching, like you guys know what the heck you're talking about. Because like if you were to tell me, hey Jack, name like a couple of your favorite moments in broadcasting history, like those two are probably right near my top 10. I mean the Breen Ray Allen one is in my Mount Rushmore of best basketball calls. I just think that's just raw, pure, in the moment. Follow the rebound, get his signature tagline in, and let the crowd do its thing in Miami. Like that's just that's peak perfection. I think. Nance saying, for the championship, same kind of thing with Chris Jenkins. So, but no, I was gonna tell you guys actually when COVID hit and the sports world had all shut down. Part of the reason why I've gotten to know a lot of these guys, I actually made a bracket for the greatest play-by-play calls of the last 50 years. Like I put together a bracket, radio and TV. And among the, in the calls, as I think those two calls were probably 1 and 2 seeds in the bracket, and had Twitter and Instagram and everybody voting on them. And I interviewed those two guys about their calls in those moments. So, I mean, they'll tell you the same thing about, being in the moment and calling it how it is. But
I think Rolo, you had a question, right? You were going to say something?
Yeah. I mean, mine is more of, cause I'm a big travel guy. So what's like the most craziest turnaround you had to do? I know you mentioned something about you had to go broadcast 20 hours before the game, but you have something that's maybe more strenuous than that?
That's a good one. Yeah, that's the part of like everybody thinks,
I'm here.
Being a play-by-play guy, sitting courtside, calling games, man, that's gotta be the life. And for those 2 hours you get to be on air, 3 hours for a football game, if it's a 15-inning baseball game, 4, you guys aren't wrong. But the other 23 hours of that day, plus the extra 2 days of travel, I've had some times getting to places, man. I went to I do the FCS playoffs for ESPN. I don't know if you guys know the FCS, the level below. For those who don't know, level below FBS. North Dakota State has kind of been like the gold standard of FCS football. There's some really good programs in there. There's a lot of these schools that are in March Madness have really good FCS football programs. Like a Montana, for instance, they're very good in FCS football. I got sent to Vermilion, South Dakota one year, and boy, that must have been 3 flights and my rental car got stuck in the snow and I had to get it.
We know somebody from South Dakota, which makes us so much funnier. He's not on here. He's usually his name's Beeve. He's from South Dakota, so that's just so funny that you mentioned it.
So I've been to I've been to a few different spots in South Dakota actually. So let me know where I've been all over South Dakota. I've been to. So getting stuck on my way to Vermilion, South Dakota, and then trying to get out of there like little their little tri-state airport just to try to get to Minnesota, Minneapolis,
10-person airplane,
try to get to Atlanta, just to try to get to where I had to go. Yeah, exactly. You got the plane that you
the
can
smallest airplane on earth, made of paper. Yeah.
So that one, that's up there for sure. I had I'll tell you what was a daunting task for me too. This was I guess this is about 4 years ago now. So I was based in New Orleans for 3 years. I was in Louisiana for a total of 4.
Yeah, I'm from New Orleans.
Oh, you are? Where do you go to school?
I went to school at Southern in Baton Rouge.
Okay, so you went to Southern. Where'd you go to high school?
St. Augustine.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I probably called 5 or 6 of their football games. 5 or 6.
Yeah, the basketball team just won the state championship.
They did. They got
that's insane.
Yes, I've called Southern games. I've called SWAC games. But yeah, no. So you'll appreciate this, man. So I got to Louisiana. It must have been in 2019. I think I was 20. I was like 22 years old. Had just finished my first job at a school, which I told you guys was working for Davidson. And that part of the reason why I know a lot of these mid majors in basketball. When I started doing Davidson stuff, all of a sudden, some people would tune in, and Winthrop called me, and Wofford called me, and all of a sudden, these coaches who are at these small schools, a team that's in the bracket that everybody's thinking about is Louisville, right? Who's Louisville's coach now? Pat Kelsey, who was the guy I was dealing with at Winthrop when they went to back-to-back NCAA tournaments. I got to know Pat Kelsey, right? And these guys, the same way I'm trying to move up levels, these mid-major coaches and low-major coaches.
Crazy.
All move up as well. So I do, my first year out of school, I'm doing, Winthrop and Wofford and every school in the Carolinas in addition to, UVA. And then a job opens up over at Nicholls State in Louisiana, the Southland Conference.
Wow. Thibodaux, yeah.
Thibodaux, exactly, man. Thibodaux, Louisiana. And
that's crazy.
I'm there. I was hired as their radio voice. I'm 22 years old. That they have a deal with ESPN New Orleans, is their flagship station. And this is, it's high level FCS football. They were ranked like in the top 20. They've had a good basketball program too. They lost to Lamar in the Southland semis. Lamar obviously lost to McNeese in the Southland title game. But my first year goes by. We get hit by COVID, obviously. They play a spring FCS football season. That following year, Ida hits the area. I get hit by my
Hurricane Ida. Yeah,
get hit by my first hurricane. By the way, in my 4 or 5 years there, man, I think I got hit by 3 hurricanes. So it wasn't a lot of fun. But I had to. I lost power in my place for a month and a half, and I had to, relocate to. I had a family friend who had a place in Shreveport. I went as far west as I could to evacuate the area, and right around that time, you were asking about travel stories. I got called to do my first Westwood One national radio game, which was Alabama versus Florida. And I'm this young kid I'm calling an SEC football game. And of course I tell the guy, yeah, I can do it. Meanwhile, I'm like, I've got, a couple of clothes with me. I'm in the middle of nowhere in Louisiana. I don't know how I'm going to drive there and get there. And that was the whole adventure in itself too. Just trying to, find a way to go there. All the flights and trips and avoiding think about how many roads and stuff were destroyed because of the hurricanes, and so that was
it was just it's a bad time when a hurricane hits. I'll just say that's the least.
No, it's unfortunately like any area of the country I go to, something seems to happen, man. I don't know what it is. I go there, get hit by hurricanes. I was in Charlottesville in North Carolina for a year. They got their worst snowstorm they'd ever had while I was there. I don't know what I did to deserve that, but
Mother Nature's been smiting you.
Yeah,
dude.
Obviously,
some people in chat, obviously I can confidently probably answer this question myself, but people are asking if you can bet on the games. I'm assuming 100% no, correct?
Yeah, so the answer is there are certain things I can bet on, but I'm not like NCAA stuff. No, can't be betting on that. Just considering I'm actively participating in broadcast. Now, technically, now I will say like for a postseason tournament and that kind of thing, when it comes to brackets and stuff like that, I fill them out. I'll do pools with my friends and stuff, along those lines. I guess I would actually say that like from a NCAA perspective with regards to brackets, that's actually allowed, I think. Like, and I do that. I typically do that with my family and that kind of thing. But
it alludes to like another question. Do you think that the legalization, because you've kind of been like in terms of the timeline of your career and gambling being legalized kind of falls right in the middle of it, right? Have you seen any like significant changes in terms of like maybe like things that have gotten worse or things that have gotten better? Obviously, we've seen like some scandals with a few teams, or at least teams that have been investigated. But do you think it has really like changed any of the like, I guess, the landscape of sports in your perspective?
Yeah, I think it 100% has, and I think every broadcaster would probably attest to that. I think it's a common, and I don't think it's just the gambling aspect of things too. Like you guys, I mean, me being entrenched in the world that I am, and the ability I have to talk to some of these, coaches and players, and kind of get a sense for what's going on. The way that NIL has taken over and the way the transfer portal operates, you combine that with gambling and everything going on. I mean, there's a lot to juggle, and these coaches are like, I think part of and the part it's kind of like a double-edged sword for me, because I love college athletics. College basketball is my favorite thing in the world right now to do and to broadcast. And again, like doing the NCAA tournament is as high as like that's where I want to get. But at the same time, I have heart-to-heart conversations with these coaches at shoot-arounds and at practices, and they're taking me through like, yeah, man, this guy's already, his agent's already getting 6-figure offers from this guy. Oh, this guy got a 7-figure offer yesterday from that. Like this is in February of the season. Like it's
crazy.
It's gotten out of control in that regard. With regards to the gambling aspect of things, yeah, I mean, I think that, and I like one thing that I've done, and I've tried to adapt with the times too. I work for multiple networks that embrace gambling. I mean, you guys know that ESPN has ESPN Bet, CBS has all kinds of lines on their various platforms that you can go with. Fox, same kind of thing with all the props they put out there and that sort of thing. So I do try to have it in my head. Now I'm not going super deep into player prop information and like going super into a rabbit hole with regarding that stuff, but I'm well aware usually of over-unders, point spreads and money lines and things like that.
It almost helps you analyze the game somewhat.
100%. It's interesting to me. Like for me, looking at a bracket and I see that Colorado State is favored against Memphis. Like me, I told you guys I call a lot of games in the American. I know Memphis very, very well. And you get a 12 seed out of the Mountain West after seeing what happened, and outside of, I guess, San Diego State's Final Four run in 2023, the Mountain West has been they've been a disaster, frankly, in the tournament. I mean, last year was really tough. Last night, North Carolina, say what you want about whether they should have been in the field or not, but
they looked like they should have been.
San Diego State didn't belong on that floor with them. I told everybody I could, hey, North Carolina's going to win this game. I mean, it's like North Carolina not belonging in the field has nothing to do with how they can perform once they're in the tournament. And they're going to be a handful for Ole Miss. But yeah, I mean, I look at a line like a Memphis and Colorado State, and that's interesting to me when they have they've got the 12 favorite in that matchup. These people know what they're doing because they're digging in the same way that we are as broadcasters. For instance, like the access to player information is second to none, and I think that's gone hand in hand with all the gambling. People are. I don't know how much your listeners and viewers, and I know you guys stay on top of all this stuff, but Memphis is likely going to be without Tyrese Hunter. I mean, that's a huge reason why Memphis is not favored in that game. And there's a lot of people filling out brackets who probably have no idea about that. Well, you guys are on top of all this stuff and the injuries. Yeah. I mean, Keyshawn Gilbert at Iowa State, same kind of thing. It moves a spread against what would have been a blowout probably against the Lipscomb team to all of a sudden, do you have the makings of an upset? Like it's little stuff like that. And now starting whenever the college basketball season tips off, October 30th, November 1st, whatever. Oh yeah, it's going nonstop in that regard. So I think that's what's changed in the landscape for me is just the awareness of. I'm like, how does this guy know everything that the coach just told me in shoot around prior to what I like?
Right, the access to information is insane.
It's amazing. That's the number one thing I've seen happen with regards to what you're talking about with gambling.
Yeah, so that's really cool.
Staying on the topic, how do you feel about announcers that like hint or mention a spread at the end of the game, depending on what like a certain play, like Chris Collinsworth, for example, he loves doing that.
Mm-hmm. Let me preface this by saying I'm sure there's people above me in this regard. I'm about as big an SVP fan as you can find. So like you guys, what I'm saying, like I'm not gambling on player props and that kind of thing necessarily. But bad beats is my favorite. One of my favorite things to watch on TV. I mean, I'm religiously watching it every single night. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I've made the significant to some comment on air multiple times. So
yeah, because both sides in those moments are like, it's just
part of your job. I mean, I saw someone comment about Al Michaels. Part of your job as a play-by-play guy, and this is just something that's been kind of entrenched in me from when I started doing this. The really good play-by-play announcers. I mean, everybody can for the most part call. I mean, I'm not gonna say everybody, but. We're a dime a dozen in terms of who can call a good game winner, who can call a great back and forth NCAA tournament game, who can call a good Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Can you keep it entertaining when the Packers are beating the Vikings by 30 on Sunday Night Football in the fourth? like that's like what separates the really good ones from the ones who aren't quite going to get that top level. And so I feel like that along those lines, man, like that kind of stuff regarding what the line might be, or making a joke, or like I remember the year that. Gronk was like a catch shy of his player incentive for the bonus. And Brady
I remember that.
That's the kind of like I feel like that the fact that those like I think it was either Nance or Tirico or Al Michaels. They knew like he's got to get this catch in order to like get this incentive. Like that's the kind of prep work that I take pride in.
It's relatable at the end of the day. People,
100%. And that, by the way, Gronk catching that football probably made someone else a bunch of money too. So it's like,
it goes hot topic.
Yeah.
A few more questions we got.
You guys, I'm good, man. You guys can. Let's
bring up what Token said.
Hardest name. Hardest name.
What's been the hardest name to pronounce?
Definitely something in the Olympics, right? All the countries.
Man, yeah, you're 100%. So hardest name. This is kind of like a two-parter where it's it's the Olympics and then it's like in a team sport setting. what's the next hardest after that? Yeah, some of the I remember doing what was it? I did the ski jump. The ski jumping World Cup was like one of my first NBC gigs, and some of these names and some of the I don't even know if it was necessarily the Russians, but like Czech the Czech names and the Slovakians and the some of the Japanese ones. It's not even as much like I write everything out on my I have these charts, and again I'm trying to like find an example for you guys of how I'll like go about preparation for a game or something like that. But it's not even so much like writing out. I write out things as phonetics. I don't spell anyone's name the way it's spelled. I write it however I'm going to sound it out. The hardest part with those international names with the Olympics is just putting the emphasis on the right syllable. If you say it wrong, if you say it incorrectly, you just sound like you're like Gorgodlatsky. You just sound like you're questioning what you're saying. So,
right, you got to say it with confidence at the end of the day too. That's so funny. You write it out how you say it, and not how it's actually spelled. That's interesting.
Every time, no, I would spell out. If you gave, So I'm trying to think like, I'm thinking like off the top of my head of a name that would like go along those lines. But I always spell it out phonetically. Basketball wise, like. I'm thinking about. I mean, there've been a bunch this year. There's a kid on Marshall. He actually, I think he might have led the nation in shot blocking. I gotta get some of these facts out of my head. It's ridiculous, but I think his name is his last name is Anachili Killen, and his first name is either Obini or Obini.
Obina Anachili Killen.
Anachili Killen is how I think phonetically how you say it. And I remember, that was up there. There's another guy who is on. Who did he play for this year? He transferred. I'm thinking about the school name. Nika Metzklarishvili. I think he's on. He transferred from Southern Miss to either Charlotte or South Florida. Check me on that. It's one of the two American schools. He was up there for the toughest last name for sure this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's.
I probably have so many examples.
I think it's South Florida or Charlotte. Nika Metzklarishvili.
I don't even know how to type that in. Like
he's from I think he's from the country of Georgia. I didn't even know they produced basketball players until I just saw the guy's name.
I'm seeing ULM to Charlotte.
ULM. Okay, so ULM to Charlotte. Okay, I was close. He was at ULM before that. I'm pretty sure if you look at his bio, he's been at like 6 schools in 6 years. He's probably a couple
Jesus Christ.
So I remember making a. So yeah, my you can imagine my board on that one. Size 3 font, just trying to fit in the phonetics.
He was my roommate 2 years ago.
See, Coochie, this is where it comes up. We don't know if we believe you.
Yeah, no,
that's the problem.
You have no credibility, Coochie. Like maybe all-time low.
Yeah, how do we double check that? Right, you gotta get a.
There's no way. There's no way. And trusting Coochie is a death wish. There's another question I had.
Right here.
Oh, what would be the hardest sport to broadcast? What do you think the hardest one for you in your experience? You've had 28 of them, so maybe
28.
It's kind of hard to narrow down.
I've pretty much done them all now, outside of a hot dog eating contest and rock paper scissors. I think I've knocked them all off. I'm thinking. I think again, like it's differentiated between individual sports and team sports. I just think that it's individual sports are just different. Like for instance, I was calling golf for the PGA Tour a couple weeks ago. That's different than calling a basketball game.
That's awesome. Do you whisper a little bit when you call golf?
Yeah, gotta get going to the hello friends. McIlroy for birdie at 15.
It's so good. It's so good.
Shout out the great Jim Nance for helping me develop that. But yeah, no, he suggested hockey is the hardest team sport. I think hockey's a really good one. I think hockey's up there for sure because of A, how quickly it moves. B, the line changes. The line changes in hockey are just different than anything you see in any other sport. Like at the end of the day, football's got the most guys because I'm preparing. When I'm calling a basketball game, like going into McNeese Clemson. McNeese has 8 guys who are going to be on the court. Clemson's going to have a 9-man rotation. You study those 17 guys. You study the coaches. You're good. A football game, you've got a 2 deep. You got to know, you got to know the quarterback, but you got to know the backup. You got to know the backup left tackle. It's a 2 deep at every position, the special teams, that kind of thing. But football, they're also your star wide receivers on the field the entire time. Hockey, they're rotating because the line changes all the time. So hockey, I would say team sport wise is up there in that same kind of regard. I've done field hockey. Field hockey's up there too. Field hockey's not that easy to do from a team sport perspective. I'm trying to think kind of what else is in that realm of like hardest team sports.
For me, like if I had to put myself in your shoes, it'd be like the sports I guess I know the least about, right? Like field hockey for me would be that'd be a brutal watch. That'd be a bad watch.
It's the ones that you don't call it much. I'll tell you what was tough too. I did the water polo world championships for NBC also. That water polo is not that easy because all you got is the number on their cap, and if they're turned the wrong way,
oh wow,
you're kind of like guessing. Well, there's that guy with them. I'm like you're trying to. I oftentimes like when I didn't tell you guys this, but I don't know if people were assuming that when I said I did the Olympics that I'm going to Tokyo or Beijing or Paris. I'm in the studio in Stanford for most of the majority of NBC announcers. They're calling stuff remotely, like off a studio monitor. We're getting we're getting a world feed. The top guys are the Mike Tiricos of the world, Dan Hicks, your top guys. Noah Eagle, who did Olympic basketball last year. Noah is a friend of mine. He's on site calling those games on location. But the majority of announcers, we're sitting for those Olympic sports, we're subject to what we're seeing on the screen. So that's
you're going to be there one day. I have a lot of faith. I'm almost positive that you're going to be at the stages that you're talking about. So. Dude, and I think everyone watching has really enjoyed this stream so far too. So just want to say thanks for bringing on the content.
You bet. We haven't even gotten into that much talking about the tournament. So
I know. Screw it. We just want to hear about you, bro. Screw the tournament. We just want to hear about
No, I can do this. Hey, I told you, man. I was running a little behind today. I'll give you as much time as you guys need. I'm here for. So it's
no. This is something we want to start doing. It's not something we do that often. Most of our shit's circled around gambling for the most part, and just analyzing the games. But I really am trying to step into more of just seeing the inner workings and talking to people like you. So this has been really, really cool for me personally.
Gucci, man.
Coochie's.
Look at
Coochie,
this.
I mean, you've turned the tide on one of our most delinquent viewers.
I appreciate
that, Coochie. Love
I
that.
think he's just showing off in front of company. Honestly,
I appreciate that. I appreciate
I'll
that.
let him have it.
Yeah,
But Chad, seriously, show some love to Jack. You can see chat, right? Please show the love to him and follow him on the socials.
You just click on the comment section.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, here we go. Okay, got you. Yeah,
show some love to Jack.
I think I told you this earlier. I think I've been on Twitch like 3 times in my life. So it's new. It's new. I'm figuring.
It's mostly like it gets the video game tag, but we're opening it up indifferently. It's
funny. I've done
Twitch, NBC, ESPN.
But I've done I've done live videos on. I mean, it's again like I don't know why we can't call it. I still call it Twitter like you guys do, but I've done X live videos for various channels. I'm hopping on 2 podcasts tomorrow. I've done, YouTube lives, Facebook lives, but this is a cool experience. So I appreciate everyone tuning in.
Shout yourself out too. Where can people find you on the socials?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys can type this in or if you want me to type it in.
I can.
Yes. So you guys can get me on on X/Twitter, whatever you guys call it right now, at Jack Benjamin PXP. So like play-by-play PXP, and that's the same handle on Instagram. Also, I've got a YouTube page where I upload reels and stuff. I have a personal website, jackbenjaminbroadcaster.com. You guys, if you guys want to go there, I was mentioning some of the interviews I've done with, Mike Breen and Jim Nantz and stuff. That if you guys want to explore any of those calls and that kind of thing, there's a tab on that, jackbenjaminbroadcaster.com. You guys can see on my personal website. And you
got the whole Ramble gang supporting you now, dude. I hope you're ready for that. I mean, it might be an onslaught and a little too much to handle at first, but they're good people.
A lot of people love mid majors in our chat too.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go, man. That's I'm all about the mid majors. So
I wish Crutch was here, man. He'd probably be. I don't even know.
I don't even know. If it were up to me, we'd have 4 mid majors in the Final Four every single year. We'd have. If it were up to me, also we'd make sure that we had like a limit on how many power schools can get in the tournament, so we can get more of these mid majors in. But it's.
What would be cool? Like, obviously, like it's never going to happen because it's one reason why March Madness is so great. Like when a mid major upsets a huge school. Right. But imagine like a strict mid major March Madness. That'd be sick. If that could even hypothetical, that'd be really cool.
I mean, they're trying. I don't know if you guys saw the NIT field this year, but when you get 50 Power 4 schools turning it down, it's totally turned into literally all mid majors there. Did you guys see the story about there's a bunch of things wrong with the way the postseason tournaments are. You guys see what happened to South Alabama, by the way? I don't know if you guys have talked about this at all.
In their final game you're talking, or in terms of where they entered in the tournament?
This is just going off of what he's talking about with mid-major schools like South Alabama won the Sun Belt, right? We're at the point now with the NIT where it's become very similar to the NCAA tournament selection criteria and stuff. The NIT used to be, so I told you guys I started as the radio guy over at Nichols. My 3rd year there, they won the regular season title in the Southland. They lost to Abilene Christian in the conference tournament. You guys, and anybody who's a big college basketball fan of upsets, mid-majors, you'll remember Abilene Christian in the bubble in Indianapolis knocking off Texas, 15-2 upset. Or it was 14-3 upset. But that Abilene Christian team's the one that beat Nichols in the Southland Championship. They must have beat us by 40 in that game. The game was over within 20 minutes. I told every friend I could, guys, put the house on Abilene Christian. These guys this is a legit, Power 5 team or Power Conference type team. Sure enough, they go and win an NCAA tournament game. But my point is, Nichols that year, they didn't get into the NCAA tournament because you have to, these small conferences, the Southland, the Horizon, the MAC. They're one bid leagues. You got to win your tournament, or you used to be able to get an automatic bid to the NIT. There's now restrictions on who actually gets into the NIT. These really high-level mid-majors, the South Alabama, who won a really, really good Sun Belt this year. I'm not sure, can Troy challenge Kentucky? I don't necessarily know. I didn't call a Troy game. I watched them a little bit this year, but that conference was really good all year. I told you guys, Arkansas State was a great team. They battled Troy to the very end in that title game. Troy had to come back to win.
That tournament was a good watch.
So South Alabama won the Sun Belt, and they thought that they were getting an invite to the NIT because they had the metrics to qualify. All of a sudden, the NIT reaches out to them and said, "Hey guys, sorry, we've got to rescind your invitation. We're bringing on UC Riverside." UC Riverside had committed to go to the CBI, backed out of it. Invitation.
I've been completely tapped out of the NIT. I just immediately assumed that they were in. I was under the impression they were in.
I think the impression from pretty much everybody is that if you win your regular season title in the conference tournament and you don't win your conference tournament, that you get an automatic berth to the NIT. That's no longer the case. Like most people, the casual basketball fan for the most part does not know that. So that's like for me, the reason why I try to support mid-majors any way I can and bring them up and shout out these guys. Is because of that. Like they're not getting the respect that they deserve. Not to mention the fact that you mentioned the kid who we've talked about the kid whose name I needed 15 syllables to pronounce. It goes from ULM to Charlotte. I mean that's these schools are getting plucked in the offseason every single time. They go if you have a good year in the Sun Belt, you're going to the American or you're going to the Conference USA or I would say you're hopping if you're a really good player, if you're PJ Haggerty, for instance, at Tulsa, you had a good year, you hop to Memphis in your conference because Memphis is a higher NIL budget. It's how it goes nowadays. So
that's a really cool perspective. Yeah, I love the fact that you're wearing mid-majors on your sleeve. Someone's got to do it for the little guy, right? That's awesome.
With that said, I could talk about the big dogs all day too. So.
Dude, I know we haven't talked about too many games yet. Our plan was to wrap it up at 9. Just want to say again, thank you so much for coming on. And, dude, I hope we can schedule something again for you to, make another appearance on here. Blew my expectations out of the water. Just want to say it was really cool.
No, of course.
I need one call before we wrap up. We might need
just one.
I gotta be honest. I feel guilty not coming on here and giving you guys, if anybody had some questions on some games or something like that. I mean, I
think it turned in a good way too.
I can for sure give you guys a couple minutes, but yeah, no, it's again appreciate you having me and yeah, I'm happy with whatever you guys want.
Yeah, dude. Royal, did you have one in mind?
No, I don't, because I know he said he didn't want to tarnish the legendary ones, which are,
we could give him a hypothetical.
Yeah, would that work?
Hypothetical, boy, I
feel like that'd be tough.
I'll tell you what. Give me another March Madness moment. Let's see if there's you got a peak mid-major March Madness moment or something like that.
Oh wait, yeah.
I've got a bunch in my head. If you got one,
we had one person.
Just pull up the highlights from last week.
This could work. Hold on. Explain it to him, Roy.
I'm hoping I know names. Otherwise, I'm going to be. I'm going to tarnish my ability.
Oh no, you won't know these two.
You guys, so give me some player names.
It's a 1v1. We actually did it last week. So Beeve, he comes on stream. He's like with us, and then the other guy's DJ, and he runs like another really good stream. And they did a 1v1. Nobody even knows how it started or like the origin story, but essentially they built it up really good for probably a month maybe. And Beeve absolutely wiped the floor with them. I don't know. I don't really know how else to explain it, but it was awesome. It was we did it at the Big East tournament.
We got people to wager on it. There was over $5,000 wagered on it. We live streamed it. DJ's 37, Beeves 26. He got horsed 15-1. I mean, it was bad. But we do have a moment where DJen scored his first point. I think that would be cool if you could announce it.
That's the play he should call.
So it's Beeve and DJen?
Beeve and DJen. I'll list it. I'll show you what they look like.
DJen and Beeve.
Does anyone have the timestamp?
You're saying the moment when DJen scored for the first time?
Yeah, DJen scored
for the
time.
First time.
Only time.
And the only time.
Yeah, this goes along with
Hey, that could be good for the call, yeah. All right, so we'll give you some backstory. So Beeve was just running it up on him, hit 3 straight threes, just looked like pure domination. It was pure domination. DJen, I wouldn't say a lot shorter, but a couple inches shorter. So essentially, every shot he had to take was like a fadeaway. A lot missed poorly, a lot rimmed out. Probably went 0 for 8, I would say, before he hit maybe one more. Around there. Yeah. 0 for 10 maybe. So yeah, you'll see.
You just get you got a referee and everything.
Yeah, that's me
That's
as
it.
the ref. So D-Gen is in the red here. He gets his first bucket on this possession, and this is Beef.
So it's a 15-0 game right now.
It's 9-0 right
No.
now. 9-0.
9-0 game to 15.
Game to 15. D-Gen is about to score his first bucket after probably going 0 for 6 before this.
You should probably do like 2 possessions.
No, it's plenty.
Is that too long?
It's
too long?
plenty
I was gonna say let him
Chuck.
get in the flow a little bit.
All right. Well, he's like huffing and puffing. There was like a
9-0 game right now, but D-Gen's got the ball down 9-0 basically is the contract.
Correct.
Okay.
Somebody screen record this.
Okay, I got you.
Please.
All right, ready? We'll get a 3, 2, 1.
I'll do my best.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All
right. D-Gen down 9-0, looking for some kind of momentum here. He's looking like he needs a break at the moment. Someone get him a Gatorade. Oh, yeah, Beef's just playing with him. D-Gen, couple of jab steps, a little cross. Oh, he wants to back him down, man. Use that size advantage on him. There he goes, spinning back left, taking him in the low block. Still backing across the lane, falls away, connects. Oh, he puts it in to cut it to 9-1. Crowd goes nuts. My goodness. D-Gen falling away. He put that thing up in the rafters, and the rainbow drops.
Jack, that was amazing, bro.
That was fucking awesome.
That was fucking awesome, dude.
That was awesome.
Hey, shout
Look at the chat, Jack. Look at the chat.
You're giving.
Oh my God!
Boy, he's giving someone a letter on horse anytime he hits that shot. That fall away skyscraper.
No, that was fucking phenomenal. That was awesome.
Shout out B for the dominant win though. That's impressive.
The funny part about that basket too is like that was probably one of his toughest shots. And B,
that was unbelievable.
B was like, that was probably the best defense I played too. And then, of course, that's the one that goes in.
No, that was a high level degree of difficulty. That reminded me of shots like growing up. That reminded me of like J.R. Smith. Just like has to take impossible fadeaway jumpers at all times.
D-Gen will take that as a compliment and take that to the moon. So that's
I
awesome.
absolutely love that too. I don't know if you can see it.
That was
that's the perfect way to wrap the stream up. That was awesome. Again, thank you, dude. We'll be in contact. This was one of my favorite streams we've done. Really cool stuff. So thank you again for coming, man. Any last thoughts to chat? Anything? Send us off.
You're talking to me or the chat?
Yeah, send us off from chat. What do you got?
wait, real quick. Actually, are you, I guess, announcing anything soon that we could like tune in or anything?
True.
Yeah. So part of the reason why I've got some availability right now is I'm off this week. I'm again like I told you guys, goal is to hopefully one day soon I can chat with you guys leading up to the week of calling March Madness. That'd be the goal for sure. But
you will.
I've got a little time off right now, thankfully. So I get the rest of the pipes a little bit. I just did the Southland tournament on radio last week. That's why we were talking about McNeese a little bit. So still getting the voice to recover. I had a couple other Champ Week stuff, some other Champ Week stuff going on. But yeah, no, little break right now, and then I'll be back calling some baseball in a few weeks. I've got a series at Georgia Tech coming up. That's in early April.
Send me all the games and
I will.
And how I can pull them up, and we can I'll send it to our Discord and stuff.
I'll get you guys. I can get you guys some stuff for sure. If and again, like, look, man, this is a long tournament. A lot's going to go down tomorrow. Let me leave a couple thoughts I want to say here too. A lot's going to go down tomorrow. I know there's a lot of people in here who have, they feel like their life is riding on a bunch of games tomorrow, and the 8-9 and the 5-12 and whatnot. If you get tomorrow at 12:15, we're all going to be glued to our TV. Either Louisville or Creighton is going to score the first basket. I guarantee you half the people in this chat are going to pass out because they're just dying about the fact that their team's losing. It's a long tournament. With that said, if you guys want me back on, I would love to come on and chat about anything going on in the tournament. And anyone's ever got questions for me? Anyone's 100%. Ever trying to? Anyone ever? I say this. I want to bring this up too before I go. I try to say this to anyone who has me on. Anyone who's interested in pursuing this kind of line of work in broadcasting, or interested in, obviously you guys are great people to talk to about the Twitch world, the podcast space, hosting space, and this kind of stuff. But anyone who's ever thinking that, hey, maybe I want to try, being a play-by-play guy or being a host or going into broadcasting. Again, you guys have my info on on Twitter and socials, and always want to give you guys any kind of insight I can. Lord knows I've had so many people help me out and help me along the way.
You're awesome, bro.
I'm just saying I'm nowhere near where I am without so many really, really good mentors. So again, with that, hey, I appreciate all you guys in the chat, and seriously, all you guys here. This is a blast for me too. So
I saw a couple chats earlier. I think you missed. They were saying how inspirational it was, and a couple people say they had aspirations to do what you're doing. So
okay. Awesome.
you're doing that and hitting the right spots there, man. So I appreciate it.
There you go.
See you in the NBA Finals. See you in March Madness Championship.
Oh my God!
We are manifesting that for you, Jack. It's going to happen. I don't know when, but it's happening. So you better get ready. You better get ready.
I appreciate you guys saying that for sure. Hey, no, it means all the support here means a lot, and again, you guys having me on means a ton. And hey, enjoy my final thing here. Enjoy the madness. It's called March Madness for a reason. Enjoy it and embrace it, everybody. All right.
Yep. All right. We'll catch you, Jack. Thank you so much for coming on again.
Guys.
All right, bro.
All the
Take
best.
care. We'll talk.
We'll
all
do
right.
it.
Talk soon. Peace, bro. That was fucking
DJ
awesome.
Still in here? He's got to say it. DJ, that was fucking awesome. Say something if you're here, man. You're gonna love
Somebody
this.
Send the clip.
I got it pulled up already. Don't you worry, Rolo.
That was awesome.
Bro, that was fucking phenomenal.
Dude, I had him.
That's me. That's the rap. So D-Gen is in the red here. He gets his first bucket on this possession.
So it's a 15-0 game right now?
It's 9-0 right now. 9-0.
9-0, game to 15.
Game to 15. D-Gen is about to score his first bucket after probably going over.
Wait, you should probably do like 2 possessions.
No, it's plenty.
Is that too long? I was going to say, let him get in the flow a little bit.
All right. Well, he's like huffing and puffing. There was like a
9-0 game right now, but D-Gen's got the ball down 9-0 basically. Is the contract.
Correct.
Okay. Somebody screen record this.
Okay.
Please.
All right, ready? We're gonna
D-Gen's in red.
I'll do my best.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All
right. D-Gen down 9-0, looking for some kind of momentum here. He's looking like he needs a break at the moment. Someone get him a Gatorade. Oh, yeah, Beeves just playing with him. D-Gen, a couple of jab steps, a little cross. Oh, he wants to back it down, man.
Dude,
use that size advantage on him. There he goes. Spinning back left. Taking him in the low block. Still backing across the lane. Falls away and connects. Oh, he puts it in to cut it to 9-1. Crowd goes nuts. My goodness. D-Gen falling away. He put that thing up in the rafters, and the rainbow drops.
Bro, that is amazing. I don't think we'll ever top that clip. I can't lie. All right, boys. Well, that's been a long stream. Ro, you're muted for some reason.
Hello?
What were you saying?
I said, I think if I have the name correctly, chat, before we sign off, correct if I'm wrong. Does he sound like Ian Eagle? I think that's who I think he sounds like.
That's what someone was saying earlier. Dude, I forgot to ask him if he practiced his voice or not. Obviously, he did.
I know. I was gonna ask that too. Yeah,
it is. It's
Ian Eagle, right? He sounds so similar.
I know. Such a cool mind to it's really cool. We haven't seen the behind the scenes of it. Yeah, shout out Mama Broad for making it happen. She created the connection. So, as always, Mama Broad contributing to the stream.
Another W for Mama Broad.
Just constant W's. If there was a Ramble helmet with the Ohio State stickers, she would be just completely covered on all sides.
That's such a good analogy.
It is we should get a Ramble helmet, bro. That'd be fire. That would be awesome. All right, let's wrap shit up. Chat, thank you guys for coming through. That was a great stream. Rolo, what you guys got before we send them off? Anything?
Dude, I feel like this week was so slow because we're all just waiting for tomorrow. It's gonna be awesome. Right. Finally,
get ready for the madness. Get ready.
Was it noon, right?
Yeah, noon.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking
ready.
Awesome. Get your bracket in the chat.
Chat, we will see you guys soon. All right, have a good March.
Let's go, Xavier.
Later.
Deuces.
I've spent a lot of time, Joe, slaying everybody in the company. Backstage, I'm starting to point off everybody. I'm ridiculed. Everyone on the roster. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double captain of the he wants.